The climate conference, which has been going on for almost 2 weeks. It's not been the most exciting of global warming events, but there has been some progress made on last year's Paris Agreement. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic is there for us. He takes a look at this year's meeting.
It was the election of Donald Trump that really provided the drama at this year's climate conference in Marrakesh. Trump is a well-known climate change skeptic and has previously threatened to pull the US out of last year's accord. That's prompted world leaders to rally behind the need to uphold the agreement.
Our expectations and I hope that duly elected President-elect Mr. Trump will really hear and understand the seriousness and urgency of addressing climate change.
And no one should doubt the overwhelming majority of the citizens of the United States who know climate change is happening.
More than 360 businesses, including Unilever, Nike and Starbucks, also argued that American prosperity could be at risk if Trump pulls the plug on the deal. This was the first year that companies and think tanks from the petrochemical sector were able to attend the conference.
Many of these companies, as far back as 2006, stopped, or 2007, stopped giving to skeptic groups. That's becoming an old argument. Many of them now are, in fact, funding the people at this conference. You go to the pavilions here, it's loaded with industries invested in this. $4 billion a year in the United States alone is spent on climate change research. Climate change has become a big business.
Last year, it was decided in France that most countries in the world would reduce their carbon emissions to try and stop the world from overheating. This year's conference was all about working out the finer details, like how richer nations will donate $100 billion to help poorer nations deal with the effects of climate change. The World Bank announced that it will provide $1.5 billion to the Middle East and Northern Africa to combat drought.
50 pays les plus meurtris par le réchauffement, 36.
Out of the 50 countries suffering the worst loss of life due to global warming, 36 are in sub-Saharan Africa. And we know the consequences. Desertification, drought, deforestation, floods which feed the tensions and, alas, provoke the catastrophes you are facing.
The negotiations will continue at next year's conference in the German city of Bonn. The Paris Agreement will come into force from 2020, and officials here say it's crucial that businesses play a part. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, TRT World, Marrakesh.
And Ollie joins us live from Marrakesh. Now, Ollie, just to expand on that package there, we saw quite a diverse range of opinions. Some countries, of course, saying great strides have been made, but what it boils down to in many cases is money, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and quite interestingly, the question remains, is there enough money in the kitty? It depends who you ask, but if you ask the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, they certainly think that there isn't. Its projections are that by the year 2020, only a fifth of the original $100 billion will be there in place for those poorer nations to avail themselves of. The UN counters that and says that it's pretty confident the money will be in place on time. But it also adds that if this development is to be sustainable, then it's trillions of dollars rather than billions of dollars we should be talking about. And for those nations which are most at risk, especially the small island states, they're saying that they want it at least quadrupled. So now there's a call for public sector funds to be added to the bank. But back in 2015, the EU thought that it was going to have a third of the money in its green fund coming from the public sector finances. However, budgets have been slashed as austerity has kicked in, and there's a lot less money than that. So what we can expect from now on, at least for the next few conferences, is that climate financing is going to be one of the biggest talking issues.
Oliver, thank you for the update from Marrakesh.